And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Steve Bassett, political activist, advocate for UFO disclosure, executive director of the Paradigm Research Group, and the first UAP lobbyist in Washington. Steve, welcome back. It's great to have you again.
But no longer that. There are a number of lobbyists registered on this issue, which reflects where we are. And it's great to be back with you, Jeff.
Now that the age of disclosure's been out for about a month-ish, do you feel it's increased momentum?
It is definitely a positive. Mm-hmm. It has been seen by a lot of people. It's been one of the top rent and sale films on Amazon. In fact, at one time it was number one. Eventually, it will become free, I imagine. It's just part of the free streaming, but they're recovering their funding now. It's gotten a great deal of media, so I assure you it's had significant impact. And in terms of measuring the impact, that's kind of hard to do, but for the standpoint of media coverage, how it's treated on social media and so forth, it's a major event. Dan Farah definitely has raised the issue substantially, and he's still doing it. Plus, he has the ability to get interviews and get on shows like Bill Maher and Rogan, and so consequently, it's a major thing. But right now, the circumstances are such that the issue overall has slowed down substantially in terms of activity, in terms of things being covered, what have you. And the reasons for that are pretty clear. We're going through a rather intense time politically, both foreign and domestically, which, unlike, I think, anything I've seen in my lifetime. I could be wrong, but I've seen a lot of tumultuous times for the United States. What we call tumultuous, other countries would call Wednesday. I mean, they go through things that are extraordinary. But instead, as a benchmark for the U.S., right, we're going through right now is extraordinary. And the UAP disclosure process has had to step back and let the storm proceed while trying to get some things done in the background. And so that's where we are right now.
Do you think it's possible that due to this storm and all the tumultuous times we're in, that the ETs could lose their patience with us?
I can't speak to ETs. They will do what they want to do. I have no idea. They don't seem to be going anywhere. There are plenty of sightings coming in, but it's, forgive me, it's almost like a sight. So what? I mean, sightings will turn up, something interesting, and you'll get some press coverage, but it's just not a thing, really. That major orb, I guess you could call it, or plasma flap we had all through late 24 through most of 25, where they were turning up over military facilities over and over again and being refilmed. That was a significant thing. Eventually, we started sending up drones just to kind of mask the whole thing, which succeeded by and large, and it ended up becoming a drone swarm, but it was really both. So that was significant. But nevertheless, right now, so now, I guess the point I'm making is that now a sighting turns up, but it's like, so what? it's like, I mean, really, it's almost normal. It's been normalized. So the issue now is doing things in the background and preparing for what's coming, but understanding that there's significant limitations on being able to get, it's harder to get media involved, and also certainly the Congress is now really preoccupied. Now, it's not that they've abandoned the issue, and so patience is called for. But there's something else going on that I should mention, is that when the issue slows down, it's an easier target. I mean, that's a given, right? If you're trying to shoot a target, the slower it passes over, the easier to hit. And so during a slow time like this, those that don't like this issue or don't believe this issue, or believe this issue but don't like the people that are involved in the process, are taking a lot of shots. And so we're getting a lot of parody, criticisms, arguments, and so forth, certainly on social media and some regular media. There are certain established skeptics now operating in the new space. Plus, there is advanced technology that allows people to target you, criticize you, make fun with you. And by that I mean almost anybody. The editing software and AI available to create videos where you are literally lifelike in there. It's you, and they got you doing all kinds of interesting things. These things are starting to turn up, not just on this issue, but across the board. And so for those that want to be in the public space, get used to it. So the issue is getting a lot of that, and it's okay. Some people will get upset, but things have slowed down. And so those that engage this issue in a negative way or contrarian way, for whatever reason, are having a good time, and that's fine. It's okay. I don't disrespect it.
Have you seen any videos of you out there saying outrageous things created by AI?
A little bit. I'm not as big a target as others. So far, I've been lucky. The little bit that has happened has not been too severe, and I'm capable of laughing at myself. Others are seeing a little more severe portrayal, but I have no illusions that my time will come in the barrel.
If we get to a time when things are less tumultuous and they get back to wanting to release these Epstein files more and more, do you think that could cause pressure and finally get them to disclose?
That's where the current domestic politics and international upheavals intersect. I mean, this is intense right now. This is not business as usual. The United States is going through and getting to places it's not been, I think, in a long time, if ever. And there's a lot of upset people and massive amounts of controversies. And there's so many issues that on a given day, 6 or 7 things may happen that you're going, oh my God. So this is where it intersects. For those that understand this issue and its importance, its implications, and that includes a number of people that are in the current administration. We know that. That's been pretty much established. It is an interesting prospect. In other words, of all the things that someone might come out with or engage, and they have been doing it, this is about as nonpartisan as it gets. And so when you do talk about it, you don't get flack back. The skeptics, the debunkers on the issue might give you some grief. All right, say you're a very high-level individual in the administration or whatever, you might get a little grief. But overall, the mainstream media certainly is not doing that, and the public is quite pleased with it. So it's a positive. There's really not much downside anymore to speaking to this issue, as quite a few people in Congress and some witnesses and others have learned. And so in the midst of all this very tumultuous, chaotic, and in some cases extremely negative events, this opportunity to go there and you could say distract, or you could simply say provide some space to engage an issue in a more positive way is just sitting there. Now, will the administration embrace that? I don't know. I think a while back I was thinking that they very well could, and we frankly, there's nothing preventing the president from disclosing tomorrow. It wouldn't be a shock. There is plenty of structure to deal with what follows disclosure, formal confirmation by the head of state. But right now, I think it's less likely because things have gotten, forgive me, things have gotten to an even higher level of intensity. And so I'm not expecting it, but that could change at any time. So now the trick is to step back during this slowdown and prepare for disclosure and do some things in the background that will help move it along, and be patient. But the issue is not going away, and the people involved in the issue are not standing down. I mean, there's things, positive things happening every day. They're just not getting necessarily the attention that they would have.
Well, I'm not aware of any other political leader getting captured in U.S. history. You know, now they've gotten the leader of Venezuela. I don't know if that's ever been done before, has it?
Yes, it has happened before. Various ways, various levels, going back through history, I assure you, and the United States as well. Right now, that's an extremely controversial act with all kinds of consequences, dominating the news along with other matters. And it's exactly the kind of thing I was referring to. Once you get to this level of how would you say, activities and controversies, the press is just going to have to step back. The amount of coverage, mainstream articles on this issue, and I just upgraded the PRG print media archive, and brought it current. So I think it was 870 articles for 2025, and now we're loading up for 2026. But in the last few months, the number of U.S.-based articles really has fallen way off, but the international articles have kept up. And so there's a lot of international press on this issue. But the U.S. articles have dropped off. And again, that reflects the situation. All right. And I try not to, in other words, there is only one issue out there that is very powerful, very important, that has a connection to the ET issue that it's always worth discussing. But it is not an issue that is foremost on the agenda of the top major countries right now. And that is the nuclear arms race and nuclear arms policy and the failure to deal with this. That is something that I'll address at any time, because there is a huge connection between the nuclear arms race, and the ET presence. But every other issue, no. And so again, it's a matter of kind of navigating through this slow period, not getting too upset, not getting angry with any of the critics that decide to take advantage of these times and come at you, and wait for more opportunities, knowing that we have done the job. The media is fully engaged. The Congress, where appropriate, is engaged. We have legislation, we have task force, we've had hearings and so forth. So we've done that. We can slow down for a while, but things could easily pick up very fast.
Have you seen the trailer for Spielberg's new movie?
Yes.
What kind of effect do you think that's going to have?
Well, that's interesting. Okay, this is reflective of something else that's going on, that's going to continue to go on, regardless of what happens in our domestic and international politics. Steven Spielberg is a legend. He has done some of the most iconic films addressing this subject, though only recently did he do any documentary work after all those decades. But a year and a half ago, I think, he did a 4-part documentary series called Encounters. That's the first time I believe that Steven Spielberg has gone there. And that's an indication of where things are. He could have easily done that anytime he wanted to. But with his films like Close Encounters, E.T., and the almost forgotten, I think, 20-hour Taken series, which was essentially fiction, but not fiction. It was an interesting combination narrative. He made a decision to, his next movie was going to be a major movie engaging this issue. Now, it's fiction, okay? But he is fully aware of what is going on. Be assured, he is, and his staff are fully aware of what's happening in Congress, of how the issue is advanced, the public's perception of it, and probably has a sense of how near disclosure is. Remember, he is the one that showed a film. I think it was The Close Contact. I think it was either not Contact.
Didn't he also do War of the Worlds?
Well, that's but he's that touches on the subject too. But the ones I'm interested in. But he showed a film at the White House, and afterwards, Reagan, I think, said, "Look, what you're seeing in this movie, there's a lot of people that already know it's real," and that actually got out. So he's always been there. So when he decides to do his next film, he decided to make it about essentially the disclosure process in his own way. He promoted it that way, though they kept this thing absolutely tight. And for a year and a half or so, this thing was shut down. Not all films are able to shut down production or shut down the awareness of the production. Sometimes it leaks, but boy, they shut this down. But we got a hint when we learned that a working title for the film at one point, there were several, The Dish, but then Disclosure. I think that was a message, right? I'm in. Okay, I see what's going on. I'm in. I'm about to do a major flick. It's going to be have a disclosure theme somehow, and I'm letting you know that now. He scheduled the film for 2026, all right, which is out far enough to take in a lot of what was expected to happen, all right, including, of course, the first documentary on the subject to get enough theatrical distribution to be able to nominate it for an Oscar, and basically the proper treatment, high level. And that's, of course, the Age of Disclosure. So he sets it out for 26. The Age of Disclosure comes out, and I think he pushed up the trailer because of that. I think he saw, I'm guessing, but I think he saw how well this movie was doing and how it was being received, that he decided to push up the trailer for his film and announce the title. And what can I say? If people who don't know this issue well may not realize the significance of what he calls this movie. He calls it Disclosure Day. Now, what is the definition of disclosure with a capital D? Which is what I came up with back in 2001. I take full responsibility for this. If you're irritated by this idea of the head of state coming out and confirming the ET presence, and that's disclosure, capital D, blame me. Send me all the email, but don't forget to subscribe to my email list, because that is the term that I came up with to assist the activist movement by providing a proper goal prize that we're targeting, why you should donate money, why you should donate your time, and so forth, right? And so disclosure is the day, and it'll have to be a day that a head of state, I prefer it to be our president, goes in front of cameras and formally confirms this technologically advanced non-human presence and technology, which has been discussed and confirmed by people in hearings and in other testimony, but not by the president. And until the president does it, hundreds of doors remain locked. All right. And so the day that happens, that's disclosure. It's basically Disclosure Day. The film is called Disclosure Day. Now, what Disclosure Day, how that transpires in the film remains to be seen. But he's a smart guy. And so he knew, I am sure, that by calling this film Disclosure Day, he was not hurting. He was helping the disclosure process underway in the Congress, being covered by the media, and the conferences that are supporting it. It's a help to us. It is a great plus. Thank you, Steven Spielberg. All right. And so, and the other thing I can say about the film is that he, in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's the movie he showed to Reagan, it ends with the ETs showing up and then leaving. So in a sense, that's and it's not clear that reality was conveyed or even acknowledged by the president. Obviously, there were people there, there were military there, they were there, so forth. It's kind of a big deal. But the movie was about the fact the world was getting messages, sound, things like that people were responding to. You saw that around the world, people out in the desert responding to something. So they were getting sort of a sense that something is going to happen. And then something did happen, but it was confined to that area. And then the ETs fly off, and we don't we don't learn to what extent the government says anything about it afterwards, right? Or whether what kind of a thing, what happens. And so this film, all right, is picking up on that in a sense, based upon what I see so far, is that the ETs aggressively are messaging the world of their presence, right? In other words, it's not ambiguous. And obviously, that is going to lead to a public engagement somehow. And so, in a sense, it's the logical next step. It's going to be ET forcing disclosure, and then in some way that's going to be dramatic and cool, and why you're going to go see the film, and then how we respond to it. So it's his cinematic, it essentially closes the circle that was started in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, takes it to Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind and essentially the post-disclosure world. That's how I see it unfolding. That's a big deal. And that's just 5.5 months away, 5 months away. So that's not long. And so while things have slowed down, that film is just sitting out there. And as we get closer and closer to that movie, I assure you, there's going to be publicity about it. The Age of Disclosure film will probably pile on there, and we will use it as a way to draw attention back to this issue. Now, unless we are in some awful place politically or internationally come June, where nobody wants to think about anything but what's going on at that moment, this is going to be a watershed month, June. And as it happens, the Contact in the Desert, I think, is just before it. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's May 29 into June, right?
Right.
And so Contact in the Desert is going to come up just before that. And I think that is also going to excite interest in wanting to be there and sort of just be a part of the celebration, the anticipated celebration. The energy level is going to be sky high. And so go to contactinthedesert.org and you can sign up now. I think the early bird sign up is there. You can still get some of these lower prices because you want to be there for that. And then shortly after that event is over, that film is going to land in God knows how many theaters. And by the way, it was just a couple of three Contact in the Deserts ago, counting the ones coming up, that I got that right? I think so. That David Grush's story broke in the press on June the 5th, 2023, while the Contact in the Desert was just finishing up. And we were all watching the actual initial interview with Ross Coulthart live together. It might have been 200 of us there. And that was a pretty exciting moment. And so the Contact in the Desert is once again going to be positioned nicely with respect to breaking events, which is appropriate because it is the premier conference. It's an amazing conference with a long history. And I'm proud to be part of it and helping to produce it. And of course, I'll be presenting in a number of events there.
I know we're speculating here, but do you think Spielberg's intention is that he knows or has inside information that disclosure will happen before the movie's out and he's going to ride the wave? Or is he more trying to push disclosure into happening?
I can only guess. I think Spielberg has known about the ET presence for a long time. I think he understands the disclosure process is underway, that the confirmation from the president is inevitable. But he doesn't have to be tipped off that that is going to happen to do what he's doing. Strategically, it makes total sense. So I do not think he has been given some sort of information about when that event would happen, because I don't think a decision has been made. However, it's I've done dozens of podcasts talking about how it's practically here. I've specifically discussed the current president disclosing. Others have. It's in the news. There's a bunch of articles. If you go up on my print media archive at paradigmresearchgroup.org, and then under projects, ongoing projects, you'll find that media archive. There's a bunch of stories at the end of last year about something is going to happen. Somebody's going to, the president could do this. The president is being encouraged to do this. The president knows about this. Then you had stories about the Pope possibly doing it. I mean, so you don't have to. That's more than enough for Mr. Spielberg to be calculating when to do this movie. And all I can say is, if disclosure has happened before that movie airs, or shortly after that movie, I say airs, lands, it's going to do a couple of $1 billion. And good on Stephen.
Weren't there some recent whistleblowers, Jeffrey Nusatelli and Dylan Borland?
Yeah.
What effect did they have?
They're just one of many whistleblowers that are coming forward. They have important stories. If true, they're very significant. More than likely, they are true. There are a lot of, and by the way, again, it's important to try to make a distinction between witnesses and whistleblowers. Not everybody's a whistleblower. Some are just a witness, right? But it's become a thing, right? If you're talking about this issue, you're a whistleblower, even if you're not blowing the whistle on anything. So it's awkward. I don't know what to do about it. But a lot of witnesses have come forward. Some of them are whistleblowers. They are the minority, to be sure. They've been interviewed, they've given statements, they've been in hearings and so forth, and all of that is advancing this issue. All right. But as I mentioned earlier, things have slowed down. So it's that we have a slow moving target now. And so the witnesses in particular, and the whistleblowers for sure, are easier targets now, and they're getting targeted. There's no question. There's plenty of time for those that just don't like this issue, or the people in it, or whatever their reasons are, to target these people and go after them in whatever way they want. That is the nature of social media now. On occasion, major media has gone after somebody who's a witness. This doesn't happen much. But the Wall Street Journal basically targeted Bob Salas. It was a fiasco. It was a mistake. I'm sure they'll apologize one day. That's pretty serious when the Wall Street Journal is publishing an article that's basically saying your story is not true. But there's not much of that. But on the internet, social media, there's some of that going on, and the witnesses have to deal with it.
You mentioned the international community earlier. How are they responding to disclosure lately?
The international coverage is amazing. One international entity, just to give you an example, is called the International Business Times. And it basically is worldwide. In other words, it's publishing to just about every English-speaking country out there. If you've got a decent amount of people speaking English in your country, like India and so forth, Pakistan, you're getting it. But it's based out of the UK. So it is generating articles fast and furious, covering all the stuff, and all that's going out internationally to a number of countries. And I've got articles up there from Japan, from China, from Pakistan, India, a lot from India, a lot of Indian coverage, Indian media, and so forth. So the international coverage is relentless. So again, that's important. So the most important thing about this is that the media coverage, mainstream media coverage, domestic and foreign, is so extensive that it's gonna be very hard to find anybody out there that doesn't at least know what a UFO is in their language, or even what disclosure process is. It's going to be harder and harder to find such people. And we got 8 billion people, and so how many billion know what a UFO is? It could be 6.5. That's a lot of people that know what something is. So the idea of like, oh, what is this UFO thing? No. And in terms of the process to get the truth out, I think you've got billions of people that are aware, without getting to their opinion of it. This process could be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 billion, because it's being covered by international press. And I'm only logging in, I think I'm up to 17,000 articles. I'm only logging in English language press, domestic. I'm not able to log in foreign, well, not foreign, but non-English language foreign coverage. I have no idea how much of that it is, but I'm sure it's substantial. With thousands and thousands of articles, I simply cannot access and log in. And so the total amount of coverage in this issue is global and worldwide. And that doesn't even get into the what we'll call the exposure that is coming from the internet, from hundreds, if not 1,000 or more blogs on the subject. By the way, there's 5-some million active blogs now. No, I'm sorry, there's 5 million logged in blogs right now, 5 million, and I think the estimate's around 800,000 are active. This is a massive communication world, and this subject is well represented on that, and in other ways in social media. And so again, this issue is now globally known. People are forming opinions about it worldwide. Billions of people have an opinion, in other words. And so the idea that all of the countries of the world, certainly the major nations, whether they be democratic nations or whether they be more authoritarian, can just continue forward by going, I don't know, we don't think there's nothing here. It's absurd. And so the question is not will the truth embargo end, but how soon? And right now, there is no fundamental barrier other than major distractions preventing a head of state from doing it tomorrow. And the message that I want to give to our White House is that the door is open, clearly. And there are a number of nations out there that are not quite as embroiled in controversies and policies that are heavily distracting. And a head of state of one of those nations would be quite comfortable in coming forward and finally ending this truth embargo. And if that happens, then our president will be second in that regard, or third. And I'm afraid there's not much historical legacy there. There's a lot of lost prestige from the United States and from that leader, our president. And so it's a contest in a sense. Yeah, things are really intense right now, but so that still doesn't mean the president couldn't disclose. How is that going to affect all the other controversies? And there are lots of them. Are the people going to just go, oh, let's just forget about that? No, all of that will continue. There will be consequences. But in addition to that, there will be this extraordinary event happening that is going to be a huge positive. It can't hurt, it can only help. And the question is, who is going to be the head of state that launches that moment, that launches the post-disclosure world and accepts that legacy, while all the other heads of state follow behind appropriately because they're going to have to. So this is kind of what's going on. I mean, I would love to be able to go to the White House and just sit down with an advisor and chat about this. I'm thinking about maybe making an approach. My office is only 2 blocks away. Just to give a perspective, an activist perspective, populist perspective on the wisdom of doing it. So that's kind of where we are. There's good and bad there, but I remain very positive that it could happen this year. But I clearly know that things are going to slow down right now, while some of these extremely controversial issues play out, both domestic and foreign.
As a lobbyist, do you ever set appointments with these congressional members and visit them in their offices and have chats with them?
I registered as a lobbyist in order to plant a flag that no one had planted, namely, if this is as important as people say it is, why doesn't it have a lobbyist? Well, the reason it has a lobbyist is there's no way in hell you can make any money. You're not going to get paid, and you're going to have a lot of people are just going to say, I have no desire to talk to you. You're banging your head against the wall. But as the first registered lobbyist, I was able to attract some attention in media and what have you, and then I used that to pursue activism. So in those early years, I wasn't prowling the hill looking to, try to corner somebody, because I would have quickly become an irritant and persona non grata. Now, in the last 13 months, of course, this is not 30 years later, yeah, I've been on the Hill. I've talked to some people and been involved in some congressional processes. I've got colleagues that are doing even more. So I'm a disclosure activist, a political activist who happened to be the first a registered lobbyist, but didn't do much lobbying because there was no money at all and nobody was going to talk to you. But I went out and did my part of the activist movement to make it possible for people to register as lobbyists, who they have, and actually be able to go up on the Hill and get meetings and sit down and talk. Now you may say, well, why aren't I doing it? Well, because a lot of other people are doing it that are probably in a better position right now than I, and there's plenty of activism to do. And after 30 years of an activist persona, right, it makes it a little more difficult. And there's also the case that if you're a lobbyist on this issue, you can't go up on the Hill and go to one of their meetings where they brief you on stuff and then talk about how you might be able to help them raise funds for their campaigns. I have absolutely zero money or the ability to put any money in any politician's pocket. And so again, but there are other people that have more to offer. And so I was a pioneer, but I am a disclosure activist, a political activist, a disclosure advocate who is still registered as a lobbyist, just in case I find myself doing some lobbying. Actually, it's PRG. It's the PRG is registered. I'm registered the organization, but whatever.
Are you aware of how many UFO lobbyists there are out there?
I haven't checked the listings. You could. I think there's 5, 6, 7 at least, including some organizations, MUFON. But I'm not checking it. But I know that there are a number, and it could be 10, 12, 13. I do not know. But someone wants to check it out, go check all the registrations, do the searches, and then text me or email me, tell me how many there are.
Where are we with the National Defense Authorization Act?
I think it's passed and signed.
Mm-hmm.
It did not have any further legislation about the UAP in it. Long story, but the efforts to get the rest of that bill passed have not landed yet. All right. And that's part of the pushback that we expected. Came close, but half of the initial UAP Disclosure Act, notice the name, okay? Very important that Schumer and Rounds named it Disclosure Act, all right? That was a message to all of us. Yeah, we understand what you're doing. We know what you're doing, and we support that. But half of it wasn't included. Eminent domain, the review panel, and subpoena powers, that was stripped out. Okay. Efforts to get those back in, 2 or 3 efforts did not succeed. All right. So where are we now? This is what I understand to be the case. Source is good, but I can't absolutely guarantee it. But I think right now a bill is being written and may be finished that is going to be given to one of the key players in Congress, Eric Burlison, Representative Burlison, to submit soon to the House. And it essentially is a standalone bill that includes a major component that was taken out of the original UAP Disclosure Act and has not been put back in. So essentially, it's a separate bill that provides that component. And the reason that's happening is it makes it a little easier to possibly get this passed. Now, why? First of all, it's just one thing. And what is it? It's the review panel, which is critical to this whole disclosure and post-disclosure process. The review panel is the key entity that makes the decision X piece of information can go forward now, or it needs to be held off for a while with the proper notification, with the proper, documentation and so forth. In other words, a proper process. Not ready for that yet, because they're just not going to just dump it all out on day one. And so, but it is a relatively transparent process. So it's critical. But the original bill was a presidential review panel. This is being written as a legislative review panel. In other words, the House and Senate will appoint the people that are going to, as a committee, as a panel, make this decision, which makes it more bipartisan, less likely to be dominated by one party, presidential party. It's more amenable. And so that is the bill. If that is submitted and passes, then that is a major step forward. So you add that to the UAP Disclosure Act that's already in play, and we're far along. Now, will we see another bill stand alone regarding eminent domain and the subpoena powers and so forth? I would say ultimately, yeah, I think so. because those will be needed, though eminent domain ultimately could be completely set aside. I don't know. So we're getting there. The process is still underway. There's discussions on the Hill. You're not hearing as much about it because for the reasons I've mentioned, but the congressional process will not stop. I can assure you, but it may be more behind the scenes. They can have all the discussions they want, private briefings they want, for now. But I know a number of the people that are involved in this. I have met with Eric Burleson. I have met with Nancy Mace, and know about some of the others that are involved. They are absolutely committed that this is going to happen. They're committed to a number of things in the area of secrecy and coming forward. This is one of the areas that our government right now is moving forward in a bipartisan way that has potentially enormous positive outcomes and resolving things. But it is amidst a storm of highly partisan processes. But it's not going to stop. The commitment by the Congress to ending the truth embargo is absolutely clear. And there are a number of people that have made it clear in the Senate that they're also committed, but they're less in the forefront than the Congress.
After listening to you talk here, I'm beginning to think that this actually may be a great time to disclose, because with so many things going on right now, for one reason, they can just say, yes, aliens are real, but we're so busy, we'll get back to you on the details later. As well as maybe there wouldn't be so much potential paranoia about it, just because so many different things are happening at the same time right now that people will be a little bit distracted.
Again, distracted is a legitimate term, particularly with respect to some aspects of the current political reality. But there's another way to look at it. Disclosure is going to affect every living person on the planet, I assure you, one way or the other, whether they want to be affected or not. It's going to have enormous impact on nations, governments of nations, some of which will be participating in the post-disclosure process because they are sitting on ET information and tech, right, and so forth. And it's the power to command attention is probably beyond anything else we can imagine. I think, a nuclear war would command people's attention, I guess, but of course it's almost moot. Who cares? This is not a nuclear war. This is a paradigm shift of massive importance and incredible power to command people's attention. But it's more than that, because as it commands people's attention and nations' governing authorities' attention, it's going to actually affect how they view everything else. And so this is so significant, so impacting, so able to affect almost anything you can imagine, including all policies regarding the interaction between nations, both individual or collective, whatever, that it has the ability to affect that. And so it's far more than a distraction. It's a paradigm shift. It's a worldview change. Then the question is, to what extent will this massive paradigm shift, worldview change, that will spread quickly worldwide, affect how we address all the other issues which are tormenting us now and taking up our time and worrying us and so forth? Will it have the ability to impact that? That's when things get really interesting. And so if I'm the president and I announce that, I'm not going to say, okay, yeah, it's true, but we're just going to shelve this for now and get back to it later after we solve all the other problems that we're dealing with. No, I would embrace the public and the media coming in and wanting to talk about nothing else but this. And more importantly, I would be putting out feelers to other heads of state and intellectuals and influencers, asking what they think about this extraordinary transition, and do they see an opportunity here to reassess our domestic and foreign policies so that we can get out from under the very threatening issues that we're addressing that are undermining confidence in the future and posing great danger. This doesn't have to be public. They could just do private queries. Could this happen? I'm certainly going to be encouraging it. I think almost every colleague I have is going to be encouraging it, right? Whether they're a political person or just a researcher. Okay, look, this is a very important positive thing that's just happened. Can you convert some of that positiveness into policy adjustments, thinking adjustments that will actually get us out of this morass that we're in, right? Drain the swamp, whatever. Minimize the number of hotspots out there, and there's about 6 that could trigger a nuclear war and so forth. Nuclear war is number 1, by the way. I mean, for me, I'll be saying, look, how can we immediately use this paradigm shift to completely review and start addressing the nuclear threat that faces everybody on the planet? That's number 1. So that's kind of how I see it. And so if anybody wants my advice on what to do post-disclosure in the government, give me a call. But they'll probably call the standard think tanks. It'll give them incredibly long, readouts of 80,000 ways to look at it and long, agendas and everything else. Fine. And a lot of the people in the think tank probably don't even know what Roswell was, whatever. I hope that they will reach out to some of the people that are citizens that don't have, the extensive background in political affairs or what have you for some thoughts, because that's nothing. This issue and its future is all many of people that I know and myself have been thinking about for decades. So it's like, we have some views that could be useful.
I'm assuming that the heads of state of the world have some kind of unwritten agreement not to disclose. And if so, what's stopping some of our enemies from just coming out and announcing that it is real?
Well, let's not think of our enemies. Don't think of it that way. Written agreements, I'm pretty sure they don't have those. Why? Because written agreements, somebody can leak a written agreement, right? Of course, they would say the doc is phony. I believe that every head of state of the nuclear nations, I'll just confine it there. Okay, the 9 nuclear nations, which makes them pretty important. Even if their economy is not as large as the top 3 or 4, if you're a nuclear nation, you're really important. I believe the heads of state of every nuclear nation, going back a long ways, and as far as the U.S. is concerned, all the way back to Roswell, same for the Soviet Union, Russia, have known that this presence is real. I think history will prove it. Can I prove it? No. But there's a common sense argument for it that's compelling. And so obviously, why haven't they disclosed? Obviously, it is their view that disclosing it is not in the best interest of their country. All right. Now, in the case of the democratic world, that is based upon their relationship with the United States. In other words, preempting the United States, which is leading in the nuclear race, leading in financial power, and so forth, preempting on this issue when it's clear we do not want it revealed yet is probably not going to help them. So in that sense, it's not in the best interest of that country to disclose. As far as the totalitarian states, from the worst, which is North Korea, on down to ideological control states and so forth, which obviously includes China, Russia, and others, I think they have their own reasons. I can speculate it's the nature of the government that don't feel it would benefit by a massive worldview expansion on the part of every one of their citizens. I would think that's possible. I don't know, but they clearly have not done it. But have the leaders of, or at least the leader of China or the Soviet Union or Russia, not known there's an ET presence? Absolutely, they knew.
Is Steven Spielberg a member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance?
No, he is not. Obviously, should he submit a request, I think we would take long to approve it. We have one Oscar winner, and that's Shirley MacLaine, God bless her. who was right. We're trying to work on a second one, but he's being evasive. But we are going, the day that it's someone like a Steven Spielberg actually joins the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance will be because we earned it, and we've got a lot more to do. We're up to 242 members, and we haven't gotten that major funder. We are a 501c3. Dan Harari is the co-founder with myself. He's also the one that's running it in Hollywood and doing a great job. Um, uh, if we could get a funder, 20, 30,000, I think then there's a lot of things we could do toward earning by the way, we just got Willie Nelson as a member, which I think is kind
Wow,
of cool.
that
And I
is
think
cool.
his nephew, who's very much in this issue. But no, you want to get somebody like Spielberg, you've got to earn it, and we will try to do that. They're just not going to show up. There's a lot of reasons they would not want to do that. But we might get to a point where they do, and if that happens, that will be a day I'll pop some champagne. There's about 7 or 8 people in Hollywood that I pop a champagne bottle and chug it if they decide, yeah, I don't mind being a part of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance.
By the way, I am still here. My camera is doing crazy stuff, and every now and then it just turns itself on and off. Do you see?
Sometimes I get cut off completely.
You see me, I guess. I'm back now.
Back.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, it's all right. Hey, look, it's okay. It's still better tech than I think CBS had in 1954. So we're good. Look at this mic,
Mm-hmm.
The equivalent mic in 1960 would have cost probably in modern dollars like $500 or something.
Wow.
Okay.
Is the general public allowed to join the HDA?
It's not a general public membership like ARP or something. No.
Mm-hmm.
It is a nonprofit free network, essentially free, a small amount of dues per year, in which we have 2 groups of people. Founding members in the UAP area or ET area or whatever, that whole genre, and which is, includes researchers and activists and journalists and documentarists or whatever, activist research, whatever. So, and then Hollywood, film industry, which we call Hollywood. Okay. In other words, you make content, right? It's not you would one day hope to make content, right? But you're involved in creating content, and you would like to make some content about this subject. All right. So the goal is to create these 2 groups of founding members, UAP and Hollywood, and make it very easy for them to interact. So they're up there, they're listed, they can contact each other at will. We have the contact information. They can easily get it from us, from the board, and or just know, right? So in other words, you see that person on the other side. You're a UAP, you see the Hollywood member, your Hollywood member see the UAP member. And I want to get in touch with that person. I read their bio. So we're creating networking to do what? To create content. Not that the HDA will have a piece of the action. No, we are not in that business. We're just networking people together. That's all, right? And we'll do things that help that. We hold events, we have meetings for the members. And so that content will then generate awareness of this issue and funds and money. We want people to go out and make content and make money so that they can make even more content and also live. This idea that if you're going to be involved in a controversy issue, you have to be penury, right? You can't make any money. You can't have any money. You can't have a life. You just have to sacrifice. This is absolute. I hear it all the time. No, we need people making content about this issue that makes a great deal of money so they can even do more stuff and have a life. All right. And it's happening. Okay. It's already happening. So if someone is, some people are in both. They've done content creation in what we'll call the film world, and they're involved in the UAP issue as well. So they got one foot in each camp. So they have to pick one, and they pick the one that's most, I think, appropriate for them. And that's the nature of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. So if someone has got this history of dealing with the UAP issue and wants to make content, or if somebody is in the Hollywood issue that's or in the film industry that wants to go there, right? Then we welcome them to apply for membership. And in most cases, it's not an issue. Occasionally, there might be an issue that we have to demur, but overall, it's been fine. And we're up to 242 members.
Besides Contact in the Desert, are you going to be appearing at any other events prior to it?
Yeah, I'm going to be speaking at Conscious Life Expo, which I expect is going to be huge, kind of like Contact in the Desert, because again, the interest and excitement level has really risen in the last year. I'll be doing a workshop. Check it out. I just sent out a promo on that. I'll be doing a panel, some other stuff. I'm going to be speaking, obviously, multiple things at the Contact in the Desert. And by the way, Hollywood, the Conscious Life Expo is Feb 19 to 23. And then Contact in the Desert, I think May 29, June 3, something like that. I'll also be speaking at the Ozark Conference. It's been years since I was there, the Ozark Mountain Conference in Eureka Springs. That is in April. And the last time I was there, years ago, I remember a bunch of us were sitting around and we were listening to Jim Mars play the guitar. That's how long it's been. That conference has never gone away. It's beloved by a lot of people because it's just really nice. I'll be speaking at the Ozark Mountain Conference in April. Right now, these are the principal commitments that I have, but I am looking to do more. I'm also seriously considering making some queries about trying to set up a speaking tour of Europe and maybe the United States for down the line, anticipating disclosure, and try to get some things in place to maybe launch it. Because post-disclosure, I think that's one of my number one jobs, is to get out there and speak to as many people as possible. Why? Why me? Because, right, again, I got researcher colleagues. I mean, they know about certain areas of this to the granular level, and I've got other colleagues that are involved in significant organizations with boards and what have you. PRG is still a populist advocate organization, very small. I'm interested in speaking to the general public that doesn't know that much, that it just want to try to understand what happened and where do we go from now, and speaking to them as a populist and an activist, because I think I've developed the ability to communicate this to regular people in a way that they kind of enjoy hearing it and get it. And so that I see that as my role, because I'm up to an age. I don't have time to start some major research project or anything like that. I'm way too old for that. But as a speaker, that's my strong suit, and speaking to the general public. Now, right now, you just can't get a 500 or 600 people that really just learn that there's this ET thing, right? To just show up. It's not quite there. But post-disclosure, they're all going to want to learn about it and hear about it. And all of my colleagues have a strength, and they will have their opportunity to present in all manner of ways, including obviously in media. But I'm thinking that I think that I have my role is as a populist activist, speaking about the issue in those terms, how just regular people can now deal with this issue going forward, not how you can get involved in an AI-based anti-gravitics program, right? Right. But rather, how regular people are going to address the post-disclosure world. That is something I can communicate in a way that people kind of enjoy getting. Others can communicate it as well. I'm not saying there won't be others doing that, but I've been doing this now for 30 years. I've given 1,500 interviews at least. So that's my strength. Right now, there's not a lot of people that want that. I mean, it's like I do my interviews and so forth, but I'm not someone that can come up with the latest thing. Okay, this is the situation with respect to, interstellar travel, the physics of it. I've met recently with one of the top that's not me. And so right now, my message has been made many times, but post-disclosure or with disclosure imminent, I think I have a role there, and that is speaking, both U.S. and foreign. I've done speaking tours. I've done 20 countries. I've done 3 tours of Europe. All these were set up by supporters. And then I just came and presented. So I'm looking to do that again, but not now. I'm looking to prepare and get interest in that for down the line, certainly post-disclosure. And to the extent that that is underway and I've gotten some organization going and people are looking to do something, the sooner I'll be able to start speaking after disclosure. And so that's kind of my game plan, among other things, for 2026 for PRG.
Well, if disclosure happens, YouTube is going to be flooded by people going and trying to find out as much as possible about UAPs. And it makes me wonder if we should just already record a video as if disclosure has already happened and have it there ready for them, because there's not going to be a preliminary announcement that, hey, disclosure's coming. It's just going to happen, and we'll be ready for it.
That's easier said than done. Let's just put it this way. Here's how I'm ready for it. If disclosure happens on Monday, right, and I get 45 calls that night because they want to interview me that week, I'm going to do every single one of them. So I'm perfectly ready. It's no problem. I invite others to be as ready as they can be. I think that is happening. I wouldn't worry about it. I think I invite all of the podcasters out there, right up to the super podcasters, even ones that have touched on the issue, but they're doing a lot of other stuff, to think about what are they going to be doing if disclosure happens on Monday. Be ready to act, because obviously it's going to be an intense and a wonderful opportunity. I'm hoping some of these very, very popular, highly sophisticated, quality podcasts, which I watch, and it's amazing how they just get better and better and better. Podcasts is where it's at. I'm not saying there isn't some great television out there, and you go on a channel and watch, some wonderful documentary about the Serengeti or whatever the hell. But podcasts are just getting better and better and better. And so I invite them to think. I'm hoping that the top of the line will be generous about bringing on some of the people that have really worked in this area for years, but maybe have not developed the kind of prestige or gravitas that some have, but have still got much to offer, that they will work to bring them on, right? So that we can have our time. And with the larger audiences, we'll see. But as I say, my phone will be on 24 hours a day after disclosure, including at night. Call me at 2 a.m. It will ring. I will answer. I want to do as much as I can and help as much as I can at that point.
Stephen, before we finish up, can you leave us with a last positive message?
We're almost there. We've never been closer. I've always tried to be positive about the prospects. I've said this over the years, didn't happen, but the prospects were there, and then they went away, and then they come back, and they go away. But try to keep the movement moving forward. But this is different this year. I've never felt more certain that one thing, the president can do it. There's no barrier, really. The president could always do it, but there were real significant reasons why don't do it. They're almost all gone, and so the president could do it tomorrow. And then the infrastructure has been put together, and where we are, certainly the barriers are down, and so disclosure is absolutely imminent, but could be interrupted. There are some things like a nuclear war, which clearly would prevent it, but beyond that, not much. So get ready, get excited, and then while in these last months, to the extent that you have really come to understand that this is happening, think about all the people that brought us to this point with great sacrifice, and maybe reach out and help. Most of the organizations in this field are nonprofits now, and you can get tax deductions by funding them. And the sooner you would reach out and fund them, the more they can prepare for disclosure. Paradigm Research Group is a 501c3. It has a donation module. New Paradigm Institute is a 501c3. It has a donation module. Hollywood Disclosure Alliance has a donation module. It's a 501c3. I think the UAP Disclosure Fund, I believe, is 501c3. Soul Foundation, I think, is a nonprofit. The UFO Foundation, Disclosure Foundation, obviously. And there are others. All of them could be funded with tax-deductible money that would really empower them to go forward. So the positive thing I can leave is this. You could change the world and help a lot of people if you finally figured out this is all true by supporting the people that were trying to get that information to you and make it possible for us to have this happen right now. This is the really, after disclosure, sure, I get it. It's, it's going to be a lot of competition for funding, and there's going to be some heavy duty players moving in and private individuals with $1 billion bucks in the bank making moves. And that's fine. That's great. Look forward to it. But the ones that are still trying to get us there, that have spent decades, well, some are recent, but the people behind the organization have been in for decades. They could really use your funding if you could use the tax deduction, because there's so much we could do ahead of disclosure to ensure that our ability to impact the post-disclosure processes to manifest outcomes which are in the best interest of everyone and not a limited group, which there's going to be efforts to corral this thing and maximize outcomes that are not necessarily in the best interest of all. That's going to be a significant competition. I know all of my colleagues are determined to try to ensure that the process serves everyone. And so I leave you with that. And I welcome your support. And of course, anybody that has any questions about this, you can reach me. My contact information is at paradigmresearchgroup.org. That's a good website, but it's going to get better. It needs work. I'm going to be working on it. And obviously, I welcome podcasters to get in touch. I will speak. I will present. This is my primary job right now. I've got my current list of podcasters is around 230. And I'm particularly enjoy doing podcasters with those that are just starting out, jumped in on this issue. Call me. I'll do your podcast. Wait, you got 400, you got 46 subscribers. Call me. I'll do it. It's okay. I love podcasters. They are significant players in this. Many of them don't realize how important they are. And anybody that wants to get in this issue now, you may not have many subscribers, but that doesn't mean that won't be the case a year from now. So get out there, plant your flag, and get ready for the game to begin.
Stephen, thank you for your message. Thank you for being my guest. And I hope that we celebrate together at Contact in the Desert that disclosure has already happened.
I'll say this. There's going to be plenty of celebration going on because that place is going to be on fire. I mean, I know it, right? Just knowing what the signups were, instantly I knew. We're talking about a huge number of signups above norm. I don't know if the hotel's going to be able to handle it, okay? But I know this, it's going to be nothing but positives and nothing but excitement. And so I hope as many of my friends and colleagues and supporters will be able to come say hello. I will do what I always do. I will plant myself down in that huge lobby so that I can't avoid anybody. They can all come up and chat and whatever. Buy me drinks. That's okay. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fantastic. And I hope to see you there, Jeff.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.